It is a great pleasure today to be able to introduce to you Dr. Lloyd Murdoch, who's the 2016 recipient of the NACAA Service to American and World Agriculture Award. Dr. Murdoch grew up in Hammond, Oklahoma, and was educated at Oklahoma State University. He got his master's and PhD degree at Virginia Polytechnic Institute, and he began his career as Extension Soil Specialist with the University of Kentucky College of Agriculture in 1969. Lloyd has been married to his wife, Barbara, for 54 years, and they have 3 children and 8 grandchildren, and I think Barbara is here today in the audience here. Dr. Murdoch's entire career of over 45 years has been spent at the UK Research and Education Center in Princeton, Kentucky, and has been devoted to conducting applied research focused on farmers' most significant production problems. I've been very fortunate in having my entire extension career, which is about 37 years, overlap with Lloyd's career. He was the first extension specialist that I met when I started to work at the University of Kentucky. And from the very first time that I met him, I've never ceased to be amazed at his broad level of knowledge in all aspects of agriculture and his very strong work ethic. But that's not the reason that we're here to recognize Dr. Murdoch today. We need to recognize him because of his soils and crops related research that serves as a foundation for many agronomic practices currently used by modern farmers. I encourage you to read Lloyd's award nomination. It's on page 40 and 41 of your program. If you open it up, it's right in the middle. And if you do read that, you're going to get a sense of the scope of his work that has impacted producers since the early 1970s. You look at grass tetany, soil compaction, urease inhibitors, no-till wheat, planter row cleaners, etc. These are areas of research where Dr. Murdoch was on the cutting edge, and on several of those things, he was the cutting edge. He was the first to do certain of those things as far as applied research. These are the things that have changed the face of agriculture for the men and women who are doing the daily business of producing food and fiber for America and for the world. Lloyd has tirelessly served farmers for more than 4 decades, and there are few modern crop producers who have not benefited from his applied research discoveries. In addition, he has been a continual resource and backstop for Kentucky county agents, doing whatever it takes to help us serve our clients. And I'll have to say, in 37 years, there has never been a single thing that I ever asked Lloyd to do as far as making a farm visit, doing a meeting for me. He has never told me no, and there's lots of people in Kentucky can tell you the same thing. It's just unbelievable, his commitment to backstopping us as county agents. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor today to present to you Dr. Lloyd Murdoch, the 2016 recipient of NACAA's Service to American and World Agriculture Award. Get my stuff out of the way.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's kind of you. It's indeed an honor to be here. Y'all are the ones that influenced my life, maybe changed my life, maybe what I am today. I didn't want to necessarily be an extension specialist. I had a wife and 2 kids, and I need to feed them, and I had a job offer. And I could have waited for some others, but I didn't know what they'd do if they'd give this one away, so I took it. Wound up an extension specialist, and wasn't sure I was going to stay. And I went out to work with county agents, and every time I went out, I really enjoyed it. And I came back to the office, and I thought that was fun. And I was kind of inspired, and I learned a lot each time. And I kept trying to figure out what it was about the agents that made me enjoy it, and I studied them for quite some time. And I figured out it was their attitude. It was the way they accepted life. It was the way that they believed and what they believed in. They didn't really have a job. They had a way of life that they really loved. They weren't addressing clients. They were making friends. They were serving people, and they were changing their lives. And I thought, I want to be like that. That's what I want to do. So I stayed, and I thought, well, I'm making $13,000 a year. I got to produce. So I kind of figured out, how do you know, I not only got to produce, that's got to be taxed, $13,000 of taxes. You know, I was trying to figure out if I was worth my salt. I'd heard enough about lazy government workers when I was growing up from some of those people, and I didn't want to be one. And so I wanted to make sure, and I started questioning county agents and talking to them about what they do, because I knew how to diagnose a problem. I knew how to make a solution. I had the science down. But as the gentleman before said, it's a lot more than that. It's people. And I didn't know that part of it. And so they taught me that part of it. And so I asked them what they did and where they came from, and I talked to one of the older gentlemen, and he had started his long career in the 30s. And I was wondering if we were still viable, if extension was still viable. Because he told me, he said, I lived through the golden age of extension. I said, what was the golden age of extension? And he said, it was where I was one of the few educated people in the whole county. And he named off the doctors and the lawyers and the judge. And basically that was it besides him. A lot of his clients couldn't read. They'd bring stuff in for him to read. They'd bring contracts in them for them to make their X, and he'd sign beside it. And I left there and I thought, well, that's past. All these farmers now, they have a college education, most of them. And the dealers, they have college educations. What do we have to offer? Can we still make a difference? And so as I worked through that decade and thinking about that, and we went to the next decade in the 80s. I don't know what the 80s were like in your state, but in Kentucky, it was tough. Interest rates were unbelievably high. Commodity prices were real low. And we had droughts in 80, 83, and 88. And a lot of them were going broke. Now, some of them stayed in. Some of them stayed. Who was it that made them stay? Who helped them stay? Who told them how to stay? It was Extension. Extension had the science, and they told them the truth. Now, truth and science don't always go together. You got to have them both at the same time. And they worked with those people, and they changed their lives. And about 10 years ago, I got a Christmas card from a farmer, and it had a picture on the front of his family, and they were all pretty real grown, and they in their sweaters, and they had a nice smile on their face. And on the back, it just had a few lines, and it said, the 80s were really difficult. We almost didn't make it. But due to your help, we did. Things are going great now. Thank you. I didn't recognize a person on the front of that card. I didn't recognize the name on the back of that card. That person's life had been changed by Extension. and I didn't even know who he was. When he left that office that day, or left that meeting that I was in, or what he left, I didn't know that I had any influence on him all. I didn't know that. But that's what extension is, and that's who you are. That's who each one of you agents are. You're changing people's lives, and you don't even know it. I'll tell you one more story, and then I'll call it quits. But I work with a farmer in Hardin County, Kentucky. And he has a PhD in theoretical chemistry. Not chemistry, but theoretical chemistry, where you use computers to put things together. From Yale University. He worked out at Los Alamos. And he even tried out as a younger man for the Cincinnati Reds. We were out in the field this spring, and I said, Richard, I know about your background. How in the world did you become a farmer? Why are you a farmer? He said, there wasn't anybody. His dad was a real estate agent and stuff like that. He didn't have anything to do with farming, but it's in 4-H. And he was showing some animals, and the farmers had come in to volunteer to help the 4-H agent help in those showings. He said they were good people, they were kind people, they were helpful. He says, when I was a young boy, he says, I want to be like them. That's who I want to be like. So what was he saying? Basically, he was saying that a 4-H agent in Hardin County, Kentucky changed my life, made me who I am. So you do that every day, and most of the time you don't even know it. I've stood shoulder to shoulder with you for 45 years. It's been my privilege to stand shoulder to shoulder with you. I'm dropping out of the ranks, but I want y'all to continue. There's a place for us. There's a place in Extension, there always will be, because we have the truth, we have a science base, and we believe in people. So all I want to say is God bless the Extension Service of the United States of America, and God bless the Extension agents. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.